Welcome back everyone to our Let's Play series of Motorsport Manager. So now we're in the GT series and we're ready for our first race. Now normally I don't plan to show the practice and or qualifying sessions as well as the race, but because this is our first GT race, I want to go ahead and show the practice and qualifying sessions just to get an idea of what's changed, if anything, from what we're used to in the base game. So we've got a feedback of 12 and 6 for our two drivers. I've already set up our initial setups for the race for each car. Now, Liani, and I'm sure I'm butchering these names, but we're just going to go with it. Liani here is much smoother, is also good at overtaking, but the smoothness here means that I should be able to make this race on just one pit stop, whereas Casino is, well, he's gambling. And we're going to have to make two stops with him because he's got a little bit more speed as a driver, I believe. Let's see. Okay, well, there's not a whole lot of difference here, but he doesn't have the smoothness. So we're going to have to go with a two-stop strategy for him, which means the softer tire. So we'll see how it works out. Again, just to mix things up. For the most part, the more speed you can get, the better. But I'm going to have a little bit of fun with it. I don't want to do everything the same as I have done it in the past in the base game, because that sort of takes the fun out of it. Let's go ahead and get started here, and we'll take a look as we get into the practice session and see what kind of differences we've got. The first thing will be, of course, the car models are different. They're not the open wheel car, so we'll go ahead and send out both of our guys. And if you take a look at the setups here, instead of having the arrow set up, now you have the ballast to move weight around in the car to the front and rear. Camber and tire pressure are the same. Now we've got a little different look to the suspension and gear ratios here. The stints, I'm not going to worry about qualifying. We're going to go with a 4-lap stint. Now I can tell you, if you're new to the game, one of the quickest ways to get the optimal setup, sort of a 97% or higher, if I look at it here, to get all purples here, one of the quickest ways to do that is to run, have your guys go out and then immediately call them back in. You'll get the benefit of the feedback without having to actually complete a timed lap. I'm not going to do that. That takes some of the fun away from it for me. So I am not going to be doing that. I'm going to let these guys run some laps and just sort of, again, have some fun here. Okay, so stints, race on the soft tires. And okay, let's get this thing going. All right, we're going to go ahead and speed up time here. All right, already I've got the volume turned down, the in-game volume turned down, so it's going to be harder for you guys to hear much of it, but already I can tell the engine sounds are different. There's much deeper, throaty sound to the engine to me. All right, so here we go. All right, so we've just passed here. We're going to take an opportunity. We're at 5.07 of fuel, and this is where I'll see the fuel mileage. Now, this is fuel mileage. I'm not pushing the engine because of reliability potential issues. I am not going to push the engine, but right now I just want to see how much fuel we're using per lap. All right, you can see these guys. Okay, so far the handling seems to be pretty good for both drivers. That's good. That means we're off to a good start. Doesn't necessarily mean it's perfect. All right, so we come back in. It's at 4.1. So we're at about, we're going to call that about 0.95. So pretty similar to what we're used to in the base game. All right, and you'll see us right now, so we're 9th and 10th, but as more cars complete time lapse, you'll see us slide down. Now, I am going to go ahead and bring both cars in now, simply because I want to try to finish this session on using just one set of tires if possible for both cars. Okay, so now we got them both in here. Very poor, great, and okay. Poor, okay, so we're not in good shape at all. Okay, let's go ahead and work. From there, we're starting at a 70%, so not good at all. So what we're going to do is take a big swing at this. And let's go ahead and move things forward to about here. Okay, so that's going to put us at 209, and I'm quoting the ballast number here is what I'm using. You could really use any of the three. Okay, so we were okay before. Let's see what we get. Oops, wrong way. Let's go ahead and go all the way down to 6%. That's a little bit worrisome that I'm all the way down there. That doesn't give me much adjustability left for sure. All right, so we were great before there. So I'm going to go ahead and go one step to the right, and we'll see what we get there. Okay, so stint, same thing, 4 laps. We won't necessarily run all 4 laps. Okay, now we move to the other car. And okay, we're at 68% there, so nothing to write home about there either. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and make this one equal to our other car. So 209, we're going to go down to 6% and then up to 56%. So it doesn't necessarily mean that this will be the same setup percentage as the other car with the same setup, but I think it gives us a much better chance of having 2 cars that are in better shape. All right, so adjustments are being made, and now we'll be back out on the track. So I do like the engine sound here. Now during the race we're going to have, remember, we've got the ERS system, the energy recovery system, which we're going to use, and the button will actually show up right in this area. It's not here right now because we're in a practice session and you don't have access to it in a practice session. Okay, let's move over here because what I want to do now is see how much fuel we're going to use on the high mode. Now I have no plans to use the overtake mode simply because of reliability issues. All right, so we're at 506 now, which is essentially where we were the first time out. We were at 507, beginning of the lap, so essentially the same place. And now we're going to see, obviously this will make us go faster. Okay, and as we come around to complete our lap, okay, this time we're at 3.96, so essentially we're at 1.1. So we know that if we use the medium engine mode, we're at about 0.95. If we go up to high, we're at 1.1. Okay, so let's go ahead and bring both cars in next time by. You can see our times are at the bottom, which is exactly what I would expect because our car is terrible at this particular point. Also, you remember before when I told you that you really can't see paint schemes during the race? Well, right here, this is as close as I can get to them. Now, I can sort of tilt the camera around a little bit, but still, there's not a whole lot I'm going to see from our paint scheme. So that's why I don't really care too much about it. Okay, so now we're going to have both cars back in. You see that the tires, particularly the ultra softs, are starting to wear out. I don't even care about that. That will affect the speed, but all I'm care about right now is working on the setup percentage and saving the tires. All right, let's see what we've got now. Okay, so we've gone from a 70 to 86, so that's good. Okay, we're still, wow, it's still very low. Now, if we take a look here, it was very poor here. Now it's just at okay, so we're going to need to go even farther in this direction. So I'm going to go all the way up to 207. This is likely going to be our final stint. So I'm going to go up and go ahead and go pretty far there. Okay, so we were great before. Okay, so 207 front, but 176 is the number I'm going to use just for reference. Okay, because I'm about to undo that. You can see we were good before, or we were good this time, but we were great before, right at the D. Okay, now we're great. Before we were not too good. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and move this back to where it was, right there at 176. And now we're going to get our car back roughly to about the level of the D there. Let's get it right about there. And then the speed balance was great, so we're going to go ahead and get that back on par with where it was. Okay, we can't quite get it there. Okay, so that'll be fine. It'll hurt us a little bit. Let's see how much we can actually improve that. Okay, so we can actually get it much closer by going up on the tire pressure. Unfortunately, I don't think the game actually models the effects of increasing your tire pressure other than how it affects these particular levels. Okay, there we go. We can use that a little bit, and let's see, I forgot where we were. Yeah, that's where I want to be, right there. Okay, this should be pretty good. And again, we'll keep all of this the same. I don't care about the tire being almost done. All we care about is the setup percentage. Okay, so now we're going to go make a huge change. Here's we're at 176 now. I need to get this back in line. And you can see, I can't even get there now. So that seems like a flaw in the game to me. Now, I know we've got some other things we can work with here, but there's no way you should be able to do things like this for sure. Okay, so we didn't get really that much better, which shows you the difference between the two drivers. Okay, so we started off poor. This time we were poor, which means that essentially where we want to be is somewhere in between there. Okay, so you can see we made things worse here, which we're going to correct. There, we made things a lot better for the handling, but we're still poor on the speed balance, which means that where we want to be should be somewhere in between. So let's go ahead and start out by going back to where we were originally. And actually, yeah, that should actually be pretty good because that's sort of in between the two. So now I just need to work on the handling, getting it back. Okay, I think we're good and where we want to be there. Again, not going to worry about tires or lap times or anything like that. Make these changes, get these guys back out. Now his tires are going to fall off the cliff here pretty soon at 20%. But again, we're not concerned with that. We're only concerned with setup percentages. And this will be our final stint. As you can see, the time at the bottom in the center of the screen is running low. So we'll just let the time run out. So we ended up 18th and 20th on the board as far as speed goes. We're over 3 seconds off the pace from the lead. And pretty slow, quite frankly. All right, looks like we got some good feedback there. All right, so I think that was it was a marathon session for us as far as making adjustments because we were all over the place. But again, that just sort of adds to the fun. If you have automatically the best setup from the very beginning each time, then it takes some of the fun away from it as far as I'm concerned. So we've got the practice session out of the way, and we do not have a perfect setup. And we are better than, as I mentioned, we're better than 3 seconds off the pace for the lead. So we're going to be in no position to contend, but we're going to do the best we can with it. And we're also going to have some fun with this ERS system and seeing what we can get from it. All right, now it's time for qualifying, and the other bonus we have available is the race trim, which of course is not going to be of any use to us in the qualifying session. So let's see where we come up. Wow, okay, now that's very nice for a setup. Let's take a look and see what we got. So 97%. I could play around with this a little bit more and try to get to 98 to 100, but I'm not even going to worry about it. 97 is perfectly fine with me. Okay, so we're going to use the Ultra Softs on both cars for qualifying purposes. Let's go ahead and continue, and I'm going to simulate the session because I don't particularly care for the qualifying. And you can see now that just skipping by it, it actually runs through a fast forward type session. I'd be interested to see in the future if we get something like this that we could do for the actual race session itself if you decide. All right, as expected, we did not make it out of Q1, which is perfectly fine. And now we get to one thing I wish they would change, that they've added new in this patch, and that is when it comes time for Q2. Now, obviously, we're not part of Q2, but it doesn't give us an option to skip it. We're going to have to just work our way through and watch it as it goes down. Granted, it doesn't take very long at all, but I would prefer to have the ability to skip it entirely, particularly if we are not part of it. Okay, we already know where we're starting, and that is dead last. So just give us an option now that there are 3 stages of qualifying to skip by the other 2. So now we're going to have to simulate this final session. And once again, we're on max speed. All right, so now the pole has been determined. Let's go ahead and continue. And going forward, I don't plan to show the practice and qualifying sessions, but I did want to show this first time so that you can get an idea if you haven't played the game or if you don't have the new DLCs, that you can get an opportunity to see what it looks like and any changes that were made. Okay, let's go ahead and move forward to race time. Right now it looks like it is partly cloudy, partly sunny, and we'll have to see. Now I'm terrible about losing track of the weather during the race and seeing. It looks like for the first 2 to 3 laps we don't have any rain coming, but we'll see if some sneaks up on me. I know there was a chance of rain. All right, so setups are great. Let's look at our thing. Okay, I'm going to start out going in high engine mode and then in medium engine mode. He is going to run a one-stop strategy, whereas I tell you what, why not? Let's just go both of them high. I'm not sure if we can maintain that the entire race because of reliability issues, but we'll see how it goes. Okay, so knowledge, we've got 10% in race trim and 5% on that. Okay. Car setup, I do need to change. Let's see, let's make sure. Okay, he's going to be there. We can get 5 to 7 laps there. Okay, let's take care of our fuel now. 5 to 7 laps, and we already know we're at 1.1 fuel per lap. So if we think we can get 6 here, 6, 6, and 5 will get us to the end of the race. Not sure we're going to be able to get that, but we'll see. If we don't push the tires too hard, maybe. All right, so we're going to give 7 and plan on doing 6 laps. That would give us, we would need 7 on fuel there. Let's confirm that. Going on our other car, we're going to need to change the tire out. 8 to 10. Well, what I need here, I need 9 and 8. So I think we're going to be okay there. Again, as long as we don't push too hard. So 9 laps. We would need right at, that would just barely make it. Just barely make it. But we're going to go with that and try to get 9 laps there. Okay. Again, strategy, we're going to try to keep it neutral in the driving style to save the tires and make them last a little bit longer. But we're going to go a little bit harder on the engine mode. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and get this party started. All right, now we get our first glance at the ERS system. And as the race gets started, I'm going to go ahead and pause this for a couple of reasons. First, I want to get my camera from a straight up top down view. Okay, so we got that. But then also the ERS system. You can see here it shows that it's charging. But then we have the option to, this will be the button we'll want to push whenever we want to use that energy. So we're starting off at 10% energy. And we'll just have to see how this works. And we do have the option to turn this to where the driver uses it automatically. And we'll see how that goes. I'm not too excited about using that, but I may need to. We'll just have to see how it goes. So we're going to go ahead and put it on fast forward here. And you can see we're harvesting energy as we go along. Now, where would we want to use this? Well, the best option is going to be on the long straightaway. In this case, we've got a few straightaways, but this is the longest one. And let's see, we're 18th and 20th. Okay, so right now we don't have the ability to really do anything with it. Looks like it's that timer means that, to me, it's meaning that essentially we have to wait one full lap before we can use it. All right, so now it's ready to go. We are now 19th and 20th. Let's go ahead and push it. Let's see what that gets us. And you can see the burst of speed we got there. It was very short-lived, but you can also see how much it took out. So we really didn't gain a whole lot there. We're going to have to let that charge some more. And this time around, when we get to this area, okay, now we're going to use it for the second car. And here you can see Leone used that to catch up a little bit. So it's not a huge difference for us right now. Again, our car performance is pretty low, so it's not a huge difference for us. But it does give us the ability to see somewhat. There we go. Now we're on the straightaway. We'll use that. In the meantime, we're letting our second car work forward. Now I'm going to have to start paying a lot of attention to our fuel. All right, we're not going to worry about tire temperatures. That is not what we're worried about. Okay, second car, we're now using the boost there. All right, now we're getting low, because remember, we're using the two-stop strategy here. All right, so everybody's coming in, or a lot of them are coming in this time by. Instead, we're staying out. All right, but before we get too far along, let's go ahead and set up our pit stop. We're going to get fresh tires, so we are going to make it our 6 laps that we needed to. Okay, so that is excellent. Tires managed to last because we didn't push them too hard. So we're going to go ahead and go, well, not that far, a little over 7, because if we go down any more, we wouldn't make it as far as we need to there. All right, parts, engine, woo, okay, we're getting that, we're at 57 now, so we're going to have to back off. On that, we do have the option to charge the battery. I'm not going to do that, but we're going to try to get as fast a pit stop as we can, and we'll hope that there's a huge chance. We're taking a lot of risk here, so we'll see how it goes. What we're most concerned with is that even if we have a mistake, that it doesn't bring us down to the level of what normal pit stop would be. Okay, so now here we go. We get our boost while we're letting the other car charge this time by. All right, so we got our pit stop coming in. You can see there we made it just as far as we could on tires. Now we've got a pit stop going. We'll swap over to our other car where we're going to use the boost this time. And there we go, use the boost. All right, now we're going to have to take this off of that because I'm a little worried about this to the end of the race. We'll see how that goes, but for right now, I'm not too thrilled about the idea of that. All right, tires are wearing down here. We're at 30%. We've got a couple of laps to go. Again, we're basically slated to come in last place here. All right, so now our cars are really spread out on track. So it's going to be very hard for me to manage these. I'm actually going to turn his on auto. And we're going to see if I can find out when he uses this. All right, so tires are really wearing down. Okay, I don't remember calling them in for, we got a drive-through penalty. Okay. Not sure what happened to get us a drive-through penalty. I missed that. All right, so we're low on fuel. Interesting that that happened. Okay, I think we'll be fine if we just run it down a little bit from there. I'm actually going to turn his back up. We need to catch up. And if we fail, then we'll just finish at the bottom. So it shouldn't be that big of a deal. All right, let's go ahead and get our pit stop ready to go. Now this time we should only need 8 laps on this tire. You can see 8 laps remaining. And let's see. We'll go here. A little bit extra fuel there. 64%. Okay, I think we're going to be fine. But we'll see. Not going to charge the battery. And we're going to see what we can get for a pit stop. Hopefully it won't be bad. All right, we're going to take his auto off, and we're going to go auto on for the other driver for now. Because this has really gotten up to 60%. All right, so we're in clean track here. And that clean track, all right, so now go, use the boost. Okay, and it used the entire boost. So the higher the percentage here, the longer the boost will last, of course. And we were able to, with I believe about 60% or so. All right, let's go ahead and turn this off. We've got our second car is right there on the mini map. So as soon as he gets onto the main straight, we'll go ahead and use that. All right, we're coming down to our second pit stop for our main driver here. He's at 26 right now on there, and actually, okay, let's go ahead and use that. It won't last as long. Actually, it lasted pretty long there. Not bad. Okay, we'll let it fill up. So now, we've got bad tire wear there. That is, again, not what we're hoping for, but we're running great. Okay, let's go ahead and turn that on and use what we can use because we are coming into the pits this time. We're going to put on our final set, and you can see it's going to be a short stint. We're going to have 3 laps remaining. So that should be enough fuel to get us there. 48% looks like we're going to be fine after all on that. A shorter pit stop. All right, so we'll see where things end up here. Again, the tires are lower than I need them to be. Ran a little bit longer on that than I should have. All right, so we're getting ready to use our boost, our ERS. There we go. So, all right, so that, okay, it did get ahead of the 20th place driver. So they moved over for us. All right, water. Okay, no water. I haven't been, as you've noticed, I've not looked up here to see about water on the track. So, okay, and turn that back up. I should have done that earlier, but quite simply, I forgot to. So that's one of the benefits and the bad things about putting the ERS in the game is because I was already having enough trouble trying to keep track of everything that was going on. So now it gives me one more thing to keep track of. So now it's something else I can forget about. Okay, so we are on the final lap. The leader, as you can see, has just taken the flag to start the final lap. Let's go ahead and use okay, so we're running 12th and 14th. So yeah, I can already tell I can't manage. I'm not going to be able to manage the ERS for both drivers at the same time because my attention span is just going too many different directions here. All right, so let's go ahead and try to get that for both drivers here at the end of the race. See if we can't bring home that 12th and 14th position, which would be pretty awesome for us in our first race to come home. And sure enough, we're going to come home 12th and, okay, not 14th, but 15th because we ran out of fuel here. So I miscalculated something there. So not bad at all. 12th and 15th, not a perfect race by any stretch, but a race that I am indeed very, very happy about. So these two drivers are drivers that I don't plan on having long term. In fact, as soon as we can get some of these scouting reports back on on some other drivers. I'm hoping we'll find some better drivers to recruit and replace. But one thing I do really like, and that is the smoothness rating. The smoothness rating is essentially what got us these extra positions. Reason being, we only had to make one pit stop, so that saved us time. Even though we had the drive-through penalty, we would have actually been higher up the board. We would have probably been able to maybe crack the top 10 without that penalty, and maybe even higher than that. So I'm very excited about this new setup. I'm going to actually save this. Hopefully it doesn't crash on me. Okay, so we did get the save in. As I mentioned in, I believe it was the previous video, when I was just checking this out before I started recording, I did have a situation where the game crashed on me at the end of a race. So I did want to make sure I got a save in there. Actually should have been saving more during the race than I did, because once again, I forgot about it. So let's go ahead and move forward. So 12th and 15th, all points are awarded to all the drivers, which I do really like. And so right now that puts us in 7th place in the manufacturer or the team championship. So we were estimating that we could finish 8th. So now this puts us sort of on par to be able to do that, with improvements coming to our card throughout the year, and hopefully to our drivers throughout the year. Okay, so let's go ahead and move forward through the final few screens, the post-race. All right, so morale is great for both of our drivers. We came in 7th, we were expected 8th, so we get some additional happiness here from our chairman and a little bit of increased marketability. Okay, so not bad at all. Relationship with mechanic goes up. So overall, very nice. Now, one thing that is not good is that you notice there are no improvements to the drivers, and that's because they have reached their potential. So these are not drivers that I would want to have long term. We lost 986,000. Again, we only had one sponsor, so that should improve going forward as we get more sponsorship. All right, so thank you very much for joining me as we had our very first race in the GT Championship, and stay tuned for more Motorsport Manager.